All right, so this is the Paystack Set Transfer API, the part 3, and before we really dive into that, we need to really correct this styling that we have right up here. So I looked at the code and I discovered that there is a mistake that I made, and I believe that some of you guys quite figured that a long time ago. So let's go back to our HTML and see where we made that mistake. So if you are in your create_recipient.php page right now, if you scroll down to where we had that form talking about right this place, so you discover that if you look at the label right here, I didn't write I didn't close the closing tag very well, so there is an L that is missing here. So once you add that L, and you should also add that to this one, because I think I made the same mistake on the second label, which is amount. So if we save this right now, and if we go to our CSS, we tampered with it the other day, so we changed this from 2 EM to 1 AM. So let's change it back to 2 EM, and if we go back to our code right now, refresh, I believe that the way that it looks now will be improved. So let's refresh this page and see, and yeah, so this is how it should look so far. Okay, so it looks a bit better, even though that still looks very small. Let's still take a look at that. All right, so I just cleared the cache and then it looks a little bit better. All right, so as you can see, still 2 EM, and yeah, so that is that. So the next thing that we need to do right now is to go ahead and then work on the next page, and the next page that we're going to work on right now is going to be, I think we call that to be create transfer, which in this part we are really talking about how we see that we are going to go ahead and then initiate the transfer. Before I take you to the documentation page, let us just go ahead and create the page right here. So let's go to let's go ahead and create a new file, and let's go ahead and call that create_transfer.php, then open that up. And before we go ahead and then start working or writing the code right here, I want us to go to the Paystack Set documentation page for the initiation of the transfer. Alright, so this is the documentation page to the initiation of the Paystack transfer. Okay, so if you look at this, they say the status of the transfer object return will be pending if OTP is disabled. So in the event that an OTP is required, status will be red. So I think that we're going to actually take it further to enable the OTP. We're going to have to take it to a level where we'll have to have the OTP enabled before we can do that. And the reason for that is because people may just find out where that page is really located, and they can make transfer to any bank account of their choice. So we really have to protect that, so that they will always have to send you something like a message. That's OTP stands for one-time password. So Paystack will always have to send you something like an OTP, that's one-time password, to your phone, and once you enter it, that's the only time the transfer will work. And I showed you that in the demo. Okay, so that is just what I'm trying to explain right here. So but before we get to that level, let us just take a look at the headers that we're going to need on this page. The first thing that we're going to need, of course, we're going to need the authorization, and we're going to need the content type to set application JSON, and we need quite a couple of body parameters, which the first one that we're going to need is the source, and which is set to balance. That means that the money that they are to be transferred is going to be coming from your Paystack's balance. Okay, so any money you have in your Paystack account, that's where they're going to be transferring money from. Okay, then you have to also set the amount, so which is in Kobo, and it is in Peace Wars if you are in Ghana, and the recipient code, which is coming from the previous page that we just worked on. Okay, so we're going to need the transfer recipient. In fact, let me show you the transfer recipient. I think we'll have that in session on this page. So we have gotten the transfer recipient from this page, and then we'll have that in session, which is what we have right here. So we'll have that in session right here. So we're going to find a way to carry that to the next page. Okay, so that's what we're going to make use of. And even if you look at this place, I think we displayed that from our output right here, which is this is where is it? So this is our, all right, so let's go back to this place. So we're going to need that, and then the other things that we're going to need. So let's click on this show optional parameters. We don't need these optional parameters, but I think the we don't really, even if we don't include them, it doesn't stop anything that we are doing. But I think that we're going to need to still include them. I think we've already included the reason for the transfer, and I'm talking about the input field for the reason, and then currency, then reference. So those are the things that we're going to need. Okay, so if you scroll back up a little bit, you see that we're going to need this. This is the endpoint to the transfer, to the initiation of your transfer that we're just working on right now. So we're going to kind of take this and make use of that. So that's the request URL, or the endpoint that we're going to be requesting in order to initiate a transfer right now. So without talking too much, let's go back to our development environment, and I'm going to go ahead and copy this page right now. And once I copy that, I'm going to go ahead and paste it on the next page, which is create transfer.php. I'm going to go ahead and paste that, and the very first thing that I want to change right now is to scroll up to where we have the endpoint. So I'm going to go ahead and change the endpoint immediately right now. So I'm going to take this away, and if I go back to that documentation, I'm going to pick the right endpoint that we're going to make this request to. So I'll copy that, go back to my development environment and paste it right there. Okay, and let me scroll back to the top of this page, and we need so a kind of set a couple of things right here. All right, so the first thing that we need to do right now is to make sure that we kind of correct some of the things that we need here. So the first thing that we need right now is to take away this recipient, because from this page where we are kind of sending people to the other page, we'll have as a name in the form is right here. So if you look at it here, what we'll have is transfer. So let's copy this transfer and go to this page and use it to replace this page, this particular name right there. So we need transfer, not recipient as it was before. And the next thing that we need right now is to go ahead, let's take away these, and what we need on this page right now is recipient code. So instead of these right now, I'm going to just go ahead and say recipient. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and enter the index. So the index is going to be recipient code, like that. And all right, so the next thing that we're going to need right now is to make sure that we gather the form data that is coming into this page. And to gather the form data, the first thing, let me just put a comment right here and say form data, and we're going to first of all take the reason for the transfer, and the reason is going to be, we're going to just say HTML special chars, which is a function that we're going to use to protect some of the bad things that people can do to our system. And in order to gather the form data right now, we're going to just use post, and within this place, the name for this particular thing or this particular data was called reason. And I'm going to copy that and then paste that just once. And the second thing was the amount. So we're going to just say amount, which is the amount of money that you want to transfer. And within this place, we're going to just go ahead and enter amount. And that is just that. So the next thing that we're going to do is that under this place where we'll have an else part. So if these things are not available, what do we want to do on the page? Okay, so if someone clicks on this, we'll go ahead and gather this data, and else if that's those things are not available, what do we want to do? So one common thing that we can do is to go ahead and redirect them back to the page that they're just coming from, and that is this create_recipient code, because we need all of these before we can proceed from this place. So instead of index.php here, I'm going to go ahead and change that to create_recipient.php. okay, so which is this page that we have right here, create_recipient.php. so that is the page that we are redirecting them back to, and finally we're going to go ahead and exit the file right there. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to need apart from that is to go ahead and then kind of gather the transfer details in an array. And the transfer details that I'm just talking about are the things that I've already shown you from the documentation, which is in this page. So we're going to need quite a couple of things to set up right now. Okay, I'm talking about a lot of this amount and then the source. So those things. So first of all, let's set up the source and then the reason, and then followed by the rest of the things that we're going to need. So for that reason, I'm going to change this to, this is going to be reason, a source. This is going to be source. You can set that in any order. Even if I put reason first, that doesn't change anything. So this is going to be, they set that to be balance, which is the default. And after that, I'm going to go ahead and then set the reason. So let's enter the reason right here, the reason for the transfer. And you can go ahead and enter the variable that contains the reason right here. So instead of typing any static text right here, what I'm supposed to do is to go ahead and give this variable name for the reason, and I'm going to go ahead and paste that right there and move on. So that's going to be pasted right there. So the next thing that we'll need is going to be the recipient code. So I'm going to go ahead and say recipient. So let's say recipient right there, and my recipient code is really located right up here. I brought that in through session. So I'm going to go ahead and then paste that right here. So this is going to be just like that. And yeah, so that's just the three most important things that we need. So we can go ahead and delete these ones. Okay, so we can delete this, and we can even take away this last comma because it's just an array. I don't really need that comma at the end of the array, okay, or at the end of the items in the array. So that is just one thing you need to also understand right now. So the next thing that we need right now is to just, let's take a look at our code very well. All right, so we should scroll down and take a look at some other things right now. But since we copied this page from this page, I think that if we change recipient data to something like, let's go, we're talking about transfer right now, trying to initiate a transfer. So if we go ahead and call this something like transfer data, I think it will reflect what we are doing more. You don't have to change this, it can work just the way it is, but I think it is necessary that we change that so that it will reflect what we're really doing. So I have to just copy that and replace that right here, and I hope there's any other place where we have to change something of that nature right now. So let's scroll down. I think the rest of the things we have here should be correct. And yeah, so let me scroll up. Okay, let's change this. Instead of recipient to transfer, let's call that transfer. And we can also come down here and change that to transfer. Let me copy this so that I don't make mistake. I want to copy this and use that to replace this field like that. And let's scroll down again. Of course, our what is it called, the authorization is right here, the cache control, even the application, so that's okay. And we have all right, so after executing the code right here, we'll go ahead and put that in an error variable, and if there is any error, we go ahead and kill the page and then return whatever the error is. And down here we really need to, okay, let's go ahead and change this from recipient to transfer. And if we want to see what we're really trying to do here is to go ahead and then convert whatever we get back from this response now to object, so that we can access it like this. Okay, but before we do that, I'm going to just, let me cut this part of the application off. So let's see what is going to return to us first of all before we go ahead and then include this part. So I'm going to cut this part off. And I want you guys to see how where I'm cutting that from. So I want to cut from here, just underneath this this PRA tag right here. From here, I want to just take everything from that place down, cut it off, and save the page. So if I save the page right now and I go back to my development, my browser, so I'm going to go ahead and refresh this page. All right, so what we need to do right now is to, let's make sure that this page is refreshed. So if you have this page refreshed right now, and you can go ahead and then let's go ahead and fill in the form. Let's see that we're just first time testing, and we can go ahead and enter an amount right here. Let's see, we're going to enter something like let's say 500, and if you go ahead and click on transfer, that should take us to the what is it called, the create transfer.php if everything works fine. Alright, so this is what we get back from Paystack. You see the status is false, and then the message says you cannot initiate third-party payouts as a starter business. And the reason why I'm getting this message back from them is just because I am using a starter business pack with Paystack. Okay, so if you are on a starter business pack with Paystack right now, you are not allowed to transfer money from your account with Paystack. So it's only the people that are using registered a business who had really upgraded their business details with Paystack that are allowed to make transfer with their Paystack account. Okay, so what I'm going to do from here upward is that I'm going to change up my API. I'm going to borrow from a friend of mine. I'm going to borrow his account right now, his account API secret key, so that I can show you what this page is supposed to show us. Okay, but if you got to this level and you have this kind of error, you should know that it's not that the code is not working, it's just that the pack or the business type that you are running with Paystack is a starter business, but not a real they don't allow you to transfer money from this particular pack to any bank account. So you need to upgrade your business to the next type of business account with Paystack before you can really do that. So for me to change the API keys, I'm going to just do that offline and then come back and show you what this page should show us before we can continue. Alright guys, so I have the API keys switched right now to my friend's own, and what we need to do right now is to go back to the beginning and then try this again. So let's go back to the beginning of the page, and let's go ahead and enter the bank account again, enter the bank code, click on verify. Okay, so that has been verified. If you click on continue, that should take us to the next page, and here we are on this page right now. So let's go ahead and then fill in the reason right now. So if you fill in the reason, let's say, okay, let's put let's just type something else, maybe something like second test, and go ahead and put maybe a different amount this time around. Sorry about that. So let's say 1000, and if you click on transfer, hopefully if everything works fine, we should we still have another error. It says okay, invalid amount passed. Okay, I think I know what that problem is there. I think we did not pass the amount. So if we scroll up to where we gathered the form the transfer data, so if we scroll up to this place, you clearly can see that we did not pass the amount right here. So let's go ahead and pass the amount somewhere, maybe down here. So we can just go ahead and say amount and let the amount be equal to the variable that contains the amount from the form, which is right here. So I'm going to copy the variable right here and paste it here. And of course you will know that Paystack normally charges in Kobo, so we need to multiply this by 100. So I'm going to just say multiply by 100, just like that. Then let's introduce a comma and save. So let's go back and try again. So if we go back to the beginning, and let's go ahead and enter the account number again, and let's enter the bank code, click on verify account, and let's click on continue. And if you scroll down, let's enter our reason, maybe to buy bike this time around, and let's say we put this time around, let's be 600, and we'll go ahead and click on transfer. And congratulations, this time around we have a true to be returned to us, and then the transfer requires OTP to continue. Okay, so that's really working right now. So we have really initiated the transfer, and it is waiting for OTP right now to continue. Okay, so in that case, what we need, and if you see the amount is right there, which is in Kobo, that's why we multiply it. This is really 600 naira. We multiply this by 100 that time, so this is going to return 600 naira for us. And this is the source from our balance. Currency is naira, and then this one says the reason is to buy bike, and we have our recipient code, and then the status is now on OTP, and the transfer code is right here. So this is what we need to get to the next stage right now, I'm going to need this particular code, which is called the transfer code. Okay, that's the most important thing that we need now to move to the next page. All right, but before we move to that next page, I want to capture this particular code right now and put it in a session so that we can make use of the feeds on the next page, and possibly also print out some of these things that we have right here. Alright, so if we go back now to our development environment, and let's scroll down to the bottom of this page, and there are some set kind of thing that I deleted that time, so I'm just going to go ahead and paste that back right now. And that is just this, which I'm going to just kind of take care of right now. So we deleted some parts, and for us to continue right now, what I just need to do right now is to go ahead and then I kind of get the transfer code. So I'm going to change this to, let's call this transfer code, and this is going to be changed from that recipient that you see there to transfer, because I've already changed the variable right now. So this is going to be transfer data, and then that is going to be, this is going to be, let me check that page again. So this is going to be called transfer code. So we'll take this, and if we go back to that place, this is going to be transfer code, and then we can go ahead and put that in session. And if we want to put that in session, we can, let's go ahead and change this to transfer code, and I'm going to put that variable right here, transfer code, and there is a mistake here, so I should delete $1 right there, that variable. So that is just that. Then on this HTML page, we can go ahead and create our proper HTML. So this page was called, I think it should be called create transfer in Paystack. Let's just call that create transfer in Paystack, like that. And the next thing that we'll need is to go ahead and then put our, let's work on our H1. Our H1 will say transfer queued. So let's say transfer, like that, and we can just say something like click the verify button below to verify. Okay, and of course we're going to add that verify button as we move along. So the first thing that I need right now, let's take a look at this place. So we're going to need to bring in the message, and the message should be coming this time around. It should be coming from transfer. Remember, we've changed this variable up there, so we changed it to transfer. This is going to be I'm going to change this to transfer, and the next thing that we need right now is the reference. Let's say that we need the reference right now. I'm going to take this, let me copy this. Okay, let me copy this line and paste it right here, and I'm going to just go ahead and call this reference, and that is going to be changed from transfer to a recipient to transfer. So I'm going to call this transfer, and it's not going to be name this time around. This is going to be changed to reference according to what we have on this page. So this is going to be called what is reference? It's right here. So this is going to be called reference. I'm going to copy that and call that reference. And the next thing that we need is the amount and then the reason. So let me even delete most of these things. I'm going to go ahead and delete these. So I'll paste, I'll copy this and paste again. I'll go ahead and call that, let's call that amount, and that is going to be called data. That's going to be called amount, and then the next one is going to be reason. So I'm going to change this to, this is going to be reason. Go ahead and change that from amount to reason. And the next one that we'll need is going to be the transfer code. So let's paste that down here, and we're going to just say transfer code, and we're going to go ahead and change this to transfer code. And that should be just that. So the next thing that I want to do right now is to, let's just go ahead and enter something like maybe a link. Let me delete this and then enter a link right here. So let's say that the link is going to, first of all, let me put something like horizontal roller bar right here, and then I can go ahead and then put a link right here, which is going to be equal to a page that we're going to create in the future, which we're going to maybe call that enter underscore otp.php. We're going to create that page in the future, and let me go ahead and then I kind of let's say enter otp, and let's go ahead and close that link right here. Okay, and let's go ahead and give that an inline styling immediately. So we can give that an inline styling. So to do that, we'll just say style. We're going to go ahead and then first of all change the color to red. So this is going to be red, and after changing the color, we can change the font size to be equal to so let that be, we'll go ahead and then send the font size to be something like let's say 2em. I think that looks fine. That looks fine. So let's go ahead and save that and then refresh the page to see how that page looks like right now. So let's refresh this page, and we'll have an error. They said uncaught error, undefined a constant transfer code on line 63. So let's take a look at that. Line 60, that's 68. On line 68, let's scroll up. So this is line 68. This is okay. This is supposed to be a variable, so I'm going to just go ahead and put variable right there. Save that, and let's refresh the page again. Alright, so this is how, okay, we have some errors right now. It says fatal error, uncaught object of a class std could not convert to string in okay, I think alright, so let's check that line 82. Line 82, so if we scroll down to line 82 right here, so we have, okay, here is the problem. I have I double typed the dollar sign right there. So let's save that and refresh again. And congratulations, we have it right here. So the response is there, the reference code, the amount, and the reason, and even the transfer code has been spelled out, and we'll have a link that should take us to the next page where we'll have to finalize the transfer. Okay, so this is where we have to enter the OTP. So if I click on this, that should take me to a different page, and of course we have not created that page yet. So I just want you to understand that we have not created this page yet, so we need to go ahead and create this page, and then we work on the transfer API. Okay, so you guys can even do that on your own in case you want to do it. So if you just go to their documentation page, you should be able to find that. Alright, so I think that what I'm going to do next is to I will have to stop the video here. I don't want to continue doing this particular series. I think that you guys have captured what I'm really trying to get at right here. Okay, so but what I'm going to do is that since I have the code with me, or I have done this before, I'm just going to include this particular file, this enter underscore otp.php, and then one other file which is enable otp.php, and then it's going to be there, it's going to be right there on a GitHub. So I'll put a link on this video where you can download the rest of the files, okay, and make use of it or practice with it. So if you want to do it, for me to let's just look at the documentation. So we have really initiated the transfer just now. I think that the next thing that we can do now is to go ahead and work on what we call a finalize transfer. So look at it right here, finalize transfer. So if you want to finalize the transfer, this is the endpoint that takes you to that place, and that's really where if I want to continue right now, this is the next step that I'm going to get to. I'm going to go ahead and read this endpoint with this particular page that we are just we just got to, this page that is called the enter OTP. Okay, so that would have been the next page or the next API or endpoint for me to reach. So you need to read this endpoint, And what you need to read that endpoint is really very simple. Look at the parameters right here. So you just need only the authorization. You need the what is it called, the content type to be set, which is already there. You can just copy what I've already done. And then one other thing that is different that you are going to need is just the transfer code, which I think I already showed you that. We printed that out right now. So we just need only the transfer code right here. Okay, and then we'll go ahead and then set the, sorry about that, and then we'll go ahead and set the OTP right there. So we'll go ahead and set the OTP to OTP. So it's really very simple. You can, if you take a look at the sample right here, we'll see how they did that. So they only needed, they included the transfer code, and after the transfer code, what they had is just the OTP. So the OTP right here, you are going to just create an input field where whatever that is being sent to your phone, you need to enter it here. So once you capture that from the form, you can now go and make use of it. Okay, so this is just an input field. This one, you can pass this as a session, pass this in a session from the previous page that we just worked on, which I think we've already put that in session, I don't know, but if I have not put that in session, I know you can do that. Just put in a session and then create just one input field of a form, where whatever that you get from your phone, once you type that in as an OTP, you capture that from the form and use it as the second parameter that you're going to need. So you need just basically two things: transfer code and then OTP. So, and I hope that you guys really understand that. I'm going to go ahead and include the file. I'm going to copy the file and then put it in a GitHub so that you can download and then see how it looks like. So there's no need continuing the tutorial at this point, so that I can get into doing some other things. So thank you guys for watching, and then I'll see you in the next one. And if you have any questions, you can just go ahead and ask in the comment section below.